How's it going, everyone? Nizem45 here with some more Star Trek Online. So, if you haven't guessed by the sheer length of the video already, today we're doing something a little bit different. A moment. Alright, so today we are playing Darkness Under Veil. Fleet Admiral, we're receiving communication from Admiral Chota, audio only. We have been issued no orders to receive to the Raytan 4 system immediately. You didn't say about what. Should I pull out a course, Fleet Admiral? Yes. Yes, go ahead. Alright, so we're playing as Charlie today, by the way. Anyway, long story short, where's Raytan? I know it's in the Beta Quadrant somewhere. Raytan. There we go. Okay. So while we fly there, let me explain what we're doing today. A few weeks ago, Star Trek Online announced that the Foundry will soon be no more. There was a big post about it on Reddit, and just in general, the Foundry is going away. And with the Foundry being shut down, that also means that all the missions everyone has created will also no longer be available. The devs have gone and said that the missions aren't technically being deleted because they'll still have access to them, but you know, they might as well be because the players won't have access to them. But long story short, the next 3 videos that I'm going to be releasing are going to be full playthroughs of the 3 Foundry missions that I have made over the course of my time playing Star Trek Online. The first one is going to be today's episode, which is Darkness Under Veil. The next one will be Brother's Bidding, and the third and final one will be Unearthed in Shadows. Also, like I was saying, from the length of the video earlier, these videos are going to be done a little bit different. If you can't tell just by how I'm kind of talking right now, these videos are going to be done in a more somber tone than most of the videos that I usually do. Whenever I make a video on YouTube, I always do a lot of editing and a lot of hype prepping, like I psych myself up to do the video, right? Well, I'm not doing that for these. For these, this is going to be a continuous, uncut, or at least very little cut, and edited gameplay of these missions, because I want these to be not only something that you can watch if you're invested in the story, but also a record, so that the amazing things, and I don't mean to sound arrogant when I say that, I don't mean just my missions in particular, but anyone that also does this, that the Foundry missions that people have made, that the players have made, they need to be remembered. And obviously YouTube is a very good way to do that, so we're going to be playing the first one. I'm going to be doing... yes, we're going to begin the mission. Admiral Chota is expecting us, Fleet Admiral. Do you wish to enter the Raytan system? Yes, let's go. And so also, I'm not cutting out the loading times for this video either, like I usually do, just because it'll give me time to talk. So, in addition to this video being uncut, this isn't going to be just a standard playthrough either. It's not going to be like, oh, we just get in, show the action, and be done with it. I don't chop the loading screens and stuff like this. For this, I'm going to be going through, playing the mission, but also stopping and pausing sometimes to, I guess, give a little developer commentary, if you guess you could call it, about how I made the missions, how I thought about things. Also, let me just check quickly. Graphics. Which one of these do I want? Lighting 1.0 or 2.0 for these missions? Come on. You know what? Screw it. What? No. Okay. Ew. No. Well, we want 2.0. Yeah, that looks better. Okay. So I'll be giving commentary and stuff of not only playing the actual mission, but also showing how I made things originally. So I originally made this map, which is the Raytan system, which was actually was one of the few systems I could find that were both in the game itself and also in the Foundry that I thought looked really cool. And I always liked the asteroid feel and the red just backdrop and stuff. I always liked it. I always thought this was cool. So anyway, we're approaching the Madison and the NX Mahalo here. And we're going to talk to them. Admiral Chota is hailing us. Hello, Frida Admiral. Welcome to the Raytan system. We apologize for the lack of information provided for you in this assignment. Admiral Chota wishes to speak with you in his ready room aboard the USS Madison. Please assemble your away team and prepare to beam aboard. I don't understand, Fleet Admiral. Why does Admiral Chota wish to meet with you? What is this all about? And so that's when we beam over to the... I need to change my uniform when I get on ground. But this is when we beam over to the Madison. So there's actually quite a few little bits of information I'll be explaining when we get onto the Madison here about some of the characters, some of the background characters, and Admiral Chota himself, actually. This was... Darkness Under Veil here was the first Foundry mission that I ever made, and I think it took me... I honestly don't know. I want to say it took me like 2, maybe 3 months to build. DS9, there we go. So one of the things that was interesting when I was making this is that every single one of the characters that you see here in the background on the ship, they're all named. So Lieutenant Carl, Lieutenant Marv. Marv? Yeah, Marv. Then we have Ensign Larry, Ensign Moore, Ensign Catherine, which, by the way, yes, that is a reference to Janeway. Then we have Lieutenant Rain, Lieutenant Goldberg, which was just this random alien that I found in the Foundry I thought was cool. Lieutenant Reyes, Ronta, and I think... Can we go downstairs? I forgot if I put a wall here. I put an invisible wall there. Okay, no worries. And then we have Commander Hall and Commander Sonny. So we're going to talk to Sonny first. We don't actually have to speak with her. This was a little side optional thing I did. So Fleet Admiral, welcome aboard to USS Madison. Admiral Chota is waiting for you in his ready room. You can either say thank you and just end the conversation there, or you can continue on. So what's this all about? I'm afraid I'm not sure. Admiral was contacted by Starfleet Intelligence a few days ago. Whatever it is, he has yet to inform the senior officers, that includes myself. What's the small vessel outside, which is the Mahalo, by the way? Oh, and that's Lieutenant Blarg over there. I was running out of names for him. The Mahalo 2? No, she belongs to Captain Nizam Fortiav. All I know is Mahalo 2 is somehow involved in whatever's going on. And she just gives you a little bit of information before we get on to the mission. Also, that's one thing I wanted to mention. Commander Sonny, I named her Commander Sonny because when I was building this, if any of you remember the old Disney Channel show called Sonny with a Chance, she was actually named after that, and that's Ensign Marilyn over there. Anyway, we're going over into Admiral Chota here. So something interesting about Admiral Chota is he actually was, I believe he is an NPC that is on the Fleet Player's starbase. And so, like, I have a bunch of, like, branching contacts that you can do. The Foundry would allow you to do that. So, like, if you had this option, while I've never met you, I realized, actually, I think that one went to the same one, but oh well. I'll restart that. The story with Admiral Chota is he was actually based off like an NPC that was on the Federation Player's starbase. This is also a reason I do a lot of editing in my videos, is because I stutter and stumble over my words quite a bit when I start rambling. I'm not going to be reading everything that he's saying just so I can continue to talk. Admiral Chota was a character that was on the player starbase for any fleet. And I think he's like the contact that you get when you want to go and get that mission that is like, I think you can do it like hourly or something. It just gives you like 5 fleet marks and you go do some pointless task around the starbase, around the system. And, you know, just it's just a little tiny thing to gain marks and stuff. I'm actually Yeah, I'm going to start that over so I can read it myself. I'll continue on. Fleet Admiral, thank you for coming. It's been a while. Unfortunately, I wish we could have met under better circumstances. I realize that there wasn't much information regarding your new assignment. You should know that Starfleet Intelligence is holding this mission on a need-to-know basis only. You've shown exemplary nature in Starfleet, Captain. Intelligence felt you were the right person for the job on this one. Okay, thank you. Admiral hesitates, but then continues. As I'm sure you know, the recent years Starfleet has come to the aid of the Romulan people after the destruction of their homeworld. Negotiations have been bumpy as expected, but Starfleet and the Klingon Defense Force and the Romulans have come to an agreement for the time being. Tell me, Fleet Admiral, how familiar are you with the happenings of New Romulus these days? So I put that in, actually, because when I first made this, this was shortly on the heels of Legacy of Romulus. And by shortly, I mean like, like 3 months after or so. And so I realized, like, nowadays, let's see, Romulan Mystery? Oh, New Romulus. Here it is. So, like, the hidden cameras, warehouse, mountain base, secret shuttle code, all these missions, these were only available if you had completed the Reputation, which I realized most players probably hadn't done yet. So I made sure to add these 3 things. So, like, I haven't visited New Romulus for people who hadn't known anything about the story, and then he'll proceed to go in and explain the situation. I know a bit about it, so you've done some of the Reputation, and you know mostly what's going on, and then I've been personally involved in helping them rebuild their society. And that goes and just skips over the previous things that he says, explaining the situation. So that's wonderful. Wish we had more people like you. As you know, not long ago, Proconsul Datan was approached by Subcommander Kiana in his quarters, a member of the Tal Shiar, which, with your involvement, I'm certain that you also have reviewed the recording in the Gary engagement. She offered him advice on rebuilding New Romulus. At first, Romulan Council Starfleet believed this to be a guise and a plan that was extinguished not long ago. However, recent events revealed that the Tal Shiar had far different plans. So that's actually referencing a cutscene that was in Hidden Cameras that I just mentioned a moment ago, where we see Kiana kind of threaten Datan and saying, like, you know what's good for you, you'll join the Tal Shiar and help our people, and all that kind of stuff. So I was really into the Romulan storyline at the time of making this and wanted to include it. So 2 weeks ago, there was an attack on the Akmar system, which, by the way, is also a system that you help around New Romulus. I don't exactly know where it is. Like, if you look at the galaxy map, New Romulus, Akmar is somewhere right around where the U in Azure sector is, I think. Like, it's one of the Romulan patrol missions. So a group of the Akmaran clans were having a dispute. The Akmaran clans were well known for their trivial arguments. The Mahalo II was dispatched to the scene to help resolve the clan's issues. However, an unexpected attack by the Tal Shiar ensued. Now the Tal Shiar are known for their patrols in that system and often attack the Akmarans. The clans retreated after exchanging fire, then leaving the Mahalo to deal with the Tal Shiar, which is actually how the mission plays out if you play it yourself. I am the one who assigned the Mahalo II to its captain, Captain Nazem 45, and it seems like a small but weak ship, but I've seen her in battle. Trust me, Fleet Admiral, you don't want to get in its way. Now then, the Tal Shiar that attacked the Akmarans were obviously no match for the Mahalo, as the squadron consisted of only 3 Tavaro warbirds. The Mahalo II was able to subdue two of the three before the oddly fitted Pterodactyls decloaked. And this kind of ties in a lot into Nizam's backstory, and how he got the Mahalo, how all that happened. Which was, if you're a longtime fan of the channel, you know the Mahalo was originally not a pilot escort like it is today, but it was originally an Aquarius destroyer, which was later renamed an Aquarius Light Escort. I like the destroyer better, by the way. What do you mean oddly fitted? By the scans Mahalo II was able to take before the sensors were knocked offline, the Pterodactyls was retrofitted with Borg technology similar to the ones on higher-ranking Tal Shiar settings. After a short firefight between the two ships, the Mahalo II was left nacelle was damaged, and the Tal Shiar ship proceeded to shoot the Mahalo II with some sort of polarized Thalaron radiation pulse, unlike anything the Tal Shiar has used in the past. The radiation was non-lethal and rendered the entire crew of the Mahalo II unconscious. That's a good question. One of the things Starfleet has been asking itself. When the crew awoke, the Tal Shiar ship was gone, and the Mahalo's crew was accounted for. It would have been horrible if they weren't accounted for. Anyway. However, Captain 45 and his first officer, Commander Gareth, had small puncture holes in their foreheads as if they had been probed. None of the other crew had these. Further investigations found inactive nanoparticles in their bloodstreams, and the purpose of these has yet to be determined. Captain 45 and his first officer has been through a lot in their history with Starfleet, more so than many other officers. Much of their dealings have been classified, including the origin of the Mahalo itself. Tal Shiar have been known to incorporate Borg technology and medical procedures that can retrieve memories. If the memories of Captain 45 and his first officer have fallen into the hands of Tal Shiar, Starfleet and New Romulus are in grave danger. Your new assignment is to assist the Mahalo 2 in finding the Tal Shiar that attacked them and determine the reason Captain 45 and his first officer were probed. I don't need to tell you that this is a highly classified assignment. Inform your senior staff only. And Nizam wishes to speak with you before you get underway. So, safe travels. So, anyway, that's the end of this part, and we move on to the Mahalo after this. But as I was going to say, Admiral Chota here was supposedly an NPC that was on the Elite Federation starbase for your normal fleet. Like, if you just go to a normal fleet, he's going to be stationed on your starbase, and he's going to be the one that you contact if you wanted to do, like, a little tiny mission and stuff. And something that was kind of, that I've been wanting to say this entire time while I was reading, for the past, like, 10 minutes, is his name, Admiral Chota. When I originally was coming up with a name for this character, he originally appeared in the Mahalo mini-movie, which is actually the first video on my channel. I'm just going to continue moving on while I talk. And when I came up with his name, I was watching Voyager at the time, and I based Admiral Chota based off of Chakotay. Like, it was a little bit of a pun, not pun really, just a spin off the name. But that was where Admiral Chota got his name. Getting my water here because I'm going to be doing a lot of talking. But I always liked Chakotay's character at the time, and I thought he was a good fit for Admiral Chota, which later would turn out to be a lot more in-depth towards Nizam's backstory. Drinking water in a video. I know, very unprofessional. But like I said, this is a continuous cut. I'm not going to be splicing up this video just because I want to encapsulate the whole experience. But anyway, we're going to talk to the transporter officer, even though we don't have to. Hello, Fleet Admiral. Welcome to the Mahalo. Do you know where I can find Nizam? Well, yes, he's on the bridge. I think he's expecting you. You know, simple little thing. Not much. So one of the things that was interesting while I was making them inside of the Mahalo 2, by the way, was I had to give everyone custom uniforms. I didn't want them to have the normal uniforms because Nizam always wore the, and he still does, actually, the Jupiter uniform set. And so the first character we meet, and we have to go back to the area map, we actually go through the entire interior of the Mahalo to get to where we need to go. And so we get to meet all of his crew, aka my bridge officers, on the way. And so the first person we get to meet is Gareth, actually. And so it seems you caught him while talking to one of the other crew. Noticing stand you, they have decation towards you and smiles. How can I help you? And so this is every one of the bridge officers that I have, you get to talk to like this. You can just say, where is he? He says on the bridge. I think he's playing flight plans with Rashi. I should go up there as well, but I'm in the mess hall because I was hungry. Yeah. But you can also go in and ask him things, and we'll do this with each of the officers. So we get to find out, like, what's your role here. My name is Gareth Talion, commander as captain's first officer. I've been a captain since my days back at the academy. Back then, I didn't meet my Starfleet regulations, so I never actually graduated, but not long after he was promoted to lieutenant commander, he invited me to join his crew, so now I accompany him on most away missions. I'm also second in command to tactical division of the ship, light under Lieutenant Commander Rashi. And this one was never seen occasion quite like you. It was just a little fat joke towards him, because, well, we don't see many occasions like him. Then I heard you were examined by the Tal Shiar, so we get a little bit more backstory of what exactly happened to him and Nizam. So yeah, I was. All I remember is the captain giving the order to brace for impact, and then nothing after that. I was laying on the floor with 2 holes in my head. Sure, it gave me a headache for about a week. Scar's gone, though. The doc found nanoprobes in my blood. He's still working to get them all out. Tells me it'll be about a week. Those little things are floating around inside me. I don't like to think about it. I've heard stories about the Tal Shiar. At least I'm still around. I don't know what they wanted. And so we get to ask similar questions to each of the crew. And so this was the mess hall, by the way. I don't know why I put a giant hologram of Saturn? I don't know why I put a giant hologram of Saturn in there. But also something that, it's funny that a lot of people left comments and reviews. This is the science division, by the way. That people left reviews on this mission is they would always end up stopping at this point, and they wouldn't progress any further because they were always like, I can't figure out how to get to the turbo lift. It's a straight shoot to the turbo lift. I mean, it's not like go down the hall right to it. You have to make some turns and stuff, but it's always like, I have walls and stuff in place, so it guides you exactly where you're supposed to go. But anyway, this is Saran, and I'll explain the whole Saran and Gareth situation in just a moment if you're wondering about that. But anyway, I'm dealing with a patient right now, but I suppose, what is it? What's your role here? My name is Saran. I'm the ship's chief medical officer. I have been a part of this crew for as long as the rest of the senior staff. Oh, haven't been. As Commander Gareth, I only recommended me a few years ago, but I've adapted well enough. We've been fighting Borg in recent months, so needless to say I've had my hands full down here, but nothing medical expertise can't handle. Also, we can find out a little bit more about the nanoprobes. Both Captain and Commander Gareth had puncture holes where, upon further investigation, found had been probed by a handheld device. I'm not sure. At first, they believed nanoprobes were used to scan brain neurology, but after further study, I'm starting to get the impression they were used for something else. What that something else is exactly, I'm afraid I don't know yet. And you can go back and just say never mind. And there is also the one other option of where's the captain. He just once again points you to the he's on the bridge. Please, I'm busy with a patient in a moment. So the whole issue between Saran there and Gareth back there is Gareth was the original Caitian that I had on my crew long ago. And I later got Saran as my second character. Well, when I made my actual Caitian character, I named him Saran, and he looked like the Saran we just talked to. But I eventually changed his costume to look like Gareth instead. I didn't want to change the name though, just because I was fairly well known in my fleet as Saran. So eventually, you know, Saran became Gareth, and Gareth became Saran. It's a weird mess, but that's how the story went. It's a weird story at that. So here's engineering. And this always, I tied it kind of into what the Mahalo 2 was like equipped with on the ship at times. At the time of making this Foundry mission, the ship I was flying had this interior actually, but it also had I think it had one of the Klingon consoles from the cross-faction lockbox ships. It had a lot of Borg technology on there. We have some precursor tech over here as well. I wanted to, and a Tholian console back here because I was using the Tholian Tetryon grid at the time, which I still use actually. I don't use the console, but I still have the Tetryon cascade. Anyway, we get to talk to Segas first, which he was actually my first Gorn bridge officer on Nizam. I worked really hard back in the day, long before there are easier ways to get diplomacy XP now, and I was able to get my cross-faction bridge officer from I don't remember his name, the ambassador on our space dock now, and he allows you to have a cross-faction bridge officer. And I chose an engineer for a Gorn for an engineer. There we go. Anyway, and that's Segas. So Gorn curses under his breath and he looks at his tricorder he's holding. What do you want? Where can I find Captain 45? He's on the bridge, just take the turbo lift outside. Now get out of engineering before you break something. I always liked Segas because he was just this fun character to write for. But anyway, you're Gorn, part of the KDF. What are you doing here? He's still cursing at his tricorder. And you can see him cursing right there above his head that I had that. Obviously there's no curse words in there. It's just pound signs and asterisks and all that kind of stuff. But it's just funny to see that kind of stuff. That's how I imagine these characters, geez, that must have been at least 5 years ago now, Anyway, I'm not part of the Defense Force anymore. I was chosen from my clan to be a part of the Ambassador Program, or whatever it's called. Captain 45 commissioned me as his Chief Engineer. You're the only Gorn on the ship? Yeah, I'm the only scaly guy around here, unfortunately. Kinda wish there were more Gorn here, though. I get tired of the stench of these soft mammals for so long. No offense. and some technology doesn't look Starfleet issue. Well, the old captain tries to get a bunch of got ties with a bunch of different groups and species. Let's just say 40i has issues collecting, more of an obsession if you ask me. Yeah, so funny little stuff. And then we have Zasov over here, and funny story about Zasov, which I think I've told before. Him and Rishi, and Urez, actually, and Aramis as well, but unfortunately Aramis is not in this mission. But so Rishi, Zasov, and Urez were all the original bridge officers you used to get when playing a Starfleet Federation character. So the first bridge officer you would get would be a... Actually, no, I have her on Shalina. Yeah. A green Starfleet tactical Andorian female. And then I don't think... Yeah, then you would get Orib? Yeah. Then you would get a common engineering Andorian. And then you would finally get a female Trill that was a science officer. And those were the first 3 bridge officers that you would get whenever you made a Federation character, long before the Federation tutorial was revamped. So now, unfortunately, you can't get those, and now you're stuck with whatever her name is, the annoying one. I forget what her name is. So can I ask you something? I'm a bit busy. What is it you wish to know? What's your role here? Lieutenant Zasov originally assigned to Captain 40i about 3 years ago, which was about when I... actually, no, I don't think that was when I commissioned Zasov. Anyway, like most of his senior staff, I'm specialized in heavy weapons training, but also engineering. I'm usually most of the away missions, but also regulate power down here in engineering. I also keep just a check on Stink Breath over there. Stink Breath, I love it. What's with all the technology? It doesn't look Starfleet. We have many pieces of Romulan technology appropriated from Tholian weaponry, a newly adapted Mako gear on this beauty. Segus will take credit for himself, but really I'm the one that helped install it, so not exactly standard issue. And then, once again, you can ask him, where's 40i? You know, where's Sulu and stuff. Oh boy, that's an old joke. That's before my time, even. He was on the bridge and flight plans with Lieutenant Commander Rashid. Take the turbolift outside to Thund Hall. And so, yeah, we just get to meet each of the characters. And so we go down here, and here's the turbolift that no one's able to find for whatever reason. I wonder what's wrong with her eyes. That happened a few years ago, but we used the turbolift, and unfortunately, you can't tell in the Foundry from like a point or something to tell it to port the player from this point of the map to another point of the map. So I actually had to make a duplicate map of the Mahalo, and that was just the bridge to use the turbolift. It was kind of weird how the Foundry used to be set up. I say used to be as if it's gone already. By the time this video goes out, it's still there. But, you know, if you're watching this after April 11th, then yes, it is past tense. So, anyway. Tapona here. Well, we'll just talk to Tapona. Anyway, is there anything I can help you with, Fleet Admiral? What is your role here? As you already know, my name is Tapona. I role here as Captain 40i's diplomatic advisor. Whenever there's a diplomatic issue during an away mission or space confrontation, the captain finds my use of logic to resolve matters most useful. And I said, you look familiar here because, once again, I was also watching Star Trek Enterprise at the time, and Tapona was obviously based off T'Pol from that show, since I really liked T'Pol from that show. I thought she was a really good character, so it's only logical to assume you've encountered someone most likely in my race with similar physical resemblance to myself. As the humans would say, I have one of those faces. And before we talk to Nizam over there, we're also going to talk to Yerez and Rishi. So we can find out what Rishi's role here, and essentially she's the pilot. I'm Rashid, Mahalo's lead tactical and flight deck officer. I serve under Captain 40i for the past 5 ships, which was actually how many ships I had used until I had gotten the Aquarius escort back when I first started Star Trek Online. So each a different challenge in its own, but in survivability and maneuverability. Although Captain Gareth is the person that shoots the phasers around here, I too am trained for space combat. It's a pretty small ship. Do you find it hard to work with? I did at first. After all, the ship is the fastest Starfleet has ever had. Its hull would be stronger if made of tissue paper. Though with recent modifications to the systems, flying her has become second nature to me. And I was kind of referencing like how the Mahalo 2 was when I was flying it at the time. It was a challenging thing just because of how low health the ship is, and it's pretty much a raider, but without a cloak. So it was very difficult to fly, but I made it my own at the time, and it was really fun to do. So we're going to talk to Yurez next. I'm the leading science communications officer. I usually work down here on Deck E. However, with the assignment has asked me to take place on the bridge. And we'll have to believe we're going to be going to the FAR system. I've had dealings there, might help us in our mission. So, if you're a longtime fan of the channel, you might realize that I've actually played this whole mission once before on my channel. All of the missions I'm going to be doing, that are my Foundry missions, I have done once before on my channel. I originally played this with Mr. Fight Monster 118 at the time. The second episode I actually played with my my friend Vermick. And then the third one I played with another fleet mate, which is also my friend Jagera. So these ones, however, I'm going to be doing just alone, since we're going to be covering everything like we already have been for the past 31 minutes so far. And truthfully speaking, we're still just getting into the light part of the story. So Captain 49 looks deep in thought, staring blankly into space view screen. He then notices you standing there. Ah, Fleet Admiral Charlie. It's good to see you. Welcome to the board of the Mahalo. I've heard many good things about your work in Starfleet. I assume Admiral Chota briefed you on the assignment in hand? Thanks. Oh, yes, he did. Since it was my ship that was attacked, and since I personally have dealt with the Tal Shiar on more than one occasion in the past, Admiral Chota and Starfleet Command felt it best that I lead the mission. As you know, my first officer, Commander Gareth, and myself were abducted from the ship after exchanging fire with the Tal Shiar Dodera decks. The two of us, along with the rest of my crew, awoke later only to discover the Tal Shiar didn't stick around. Well, that's understandable. I guess the only one who believes it anyways. Not to mention, I don't have any proof to support my claims that... You know what? Let me back up. I didn't read what he said. I forgot what I said there. Abducted from the ship. Right. The Admiral never mentioned that. Not to mention I don't have any proof of it to support my claims. All I know it was in my chair here, and then when I was rendered unconscious, I awoke. I was over there, a good 10 or 15 feet away, sprawled on my back. It's possible we were just thrown from your chair. I don't think I haven't considered that. But it's not like that. I have these feelings that I was taken somewhere against my will, sounds, light, muffled voices, but no tangible memories. It wouldn't be the first time my memory's been wiped in one way or another. But nonetheless, what I may or may not feel has no current bearing on this mission. Starfleet believes Tal Shiar may have had the memories of both I and the Commander and Gareth hold individually. This is also a reason that I do a lot of editing in my videos, because I screw up when I read a lot. But yeah, I'm not editing this, so. Although there's an obvious checkmate for them if it's true, I have my doubts to their actual reasons. I don't know, like I said before, it's just a feeling. The only defense I have is I know for a fact there are easier ways to retrieve someone's memory than punching 2 holes in their head and injecting nanoprobes into their blood. How would you... Don't ask me how I know that. Well then, I suppose it's best for me to actually inform you of our course of action then, wouldn't it? I've told my tactical officer Rashid to set a course for the Hafar system. There's a Ferengi there, Madren. He has some shady business with the Tal Shiar agents in the past more than once. My guess is those big ears have heard something about our situation already. I think we should pay him a visit. That and threatening him the last time I saw him, so I'm looking forward to seeing his face when he sees me. So yeah, we're going to be going to the Hafar system. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Madren, I know him. Doesn't surprise me. Well, this is exactly it. He's infamously known among Starfleet captains for his past, the Romulan slave labor at the coal settlement. Excellent. Beam back to your ship, and we'll meet you at Leoa, the second moon in the FAR system. There we'll begin our investigation. See you soon. All right, so that's where we go into the space portion, the first space portion of our game. So we're heading to the coal system. Or, not the coal system, the Leona system, in the Leona space in the Hifar system to go to the coal settlement. That's right. It's, like, complicated mess there. I had to do a lot of research when I was making this. In certain things that the characters would say, to make sure that it was lore correct, and also all of this. So I got a lot of information off the STO wiki to understand like how the story that this is based around went and stuff. So we're approaching the Koal sediment. I think that's how it's pronounced. Anyway, we got the Mahalo here. And we're gonna, we've reached the Leona mining facility. Leoa mining facility. Looks like the Mahalo 2 made it here before us. Indeed they did. Fleet Admiral receiving a transmission from the surface. Should I put it through? We've had to deal with enough turmoil under Milani Dion. We will not tolerate more intruders on our colony. So this is actually interesting. This is something that I doubt anybody watching this video or even ever playing this mission would know. So if you haven't figured it out already, the Hifar system and the Koal mining facility is all based off the episode of Mine Enemy, which is in the Romulan. It's in the Romulan mystery story arc. So Mine Enemy here. This was one of my favorite episodes. Period. In Star Trek Online. I just loved the story. I loved the setting. It was really fun. I just loved everything about it. And so I wanted to include it, and that's how it got kind of included in the story that we're doing here in my Foundry mission. So, this part about here of Milani Dion, she was actually apparently some like entrepreneur or something that had invested in the facility and helped the Ferengi that we're going to be talking to enslave people or something. It was weird how the story was, but it was like this lesser known fact that you could get by talking to a few people in the actual Mine Enemy mission. And then the lore was expanded upon in the STO wiki. So it's just a little bit of a tidbit of information here that was kind of interesting that very, very, very few people might ever know. Fleet Admiral receiving a transmission from the Mahalo. We're detecting a handful of small armed vessels from the mining facility. They appear to be a direct intercept course to their position. So this was pretty much just to appease the usual things that... What the heck? Tachyon Pulse Platform. Interesting. But, that was kind of just to appease the usual... we have to have some sort of combat in a Star Trek Online mission, obviously. So the Mahalo is hailing us again. So, are you alright over there? We weren't expecting to exchange fire so soon. Last time I visited the Leona system, its occupants seemed completely disinterested in contact with anyone, but not hostile. We've been attempting to scan the facility for Ferengi bioscience down there, but the amounts of raw magnesite are interfering with our sensors. We can't get a clear reading. If Madren is there, I can only imagine he somehow caught wind of our plan. That may be the reason we were greeted so coldly. Game plan is to beam down there to the mining facility and see if we can locate Madren. Chances are he'll know something about the Tal Shiar that attacked my ship if we find him. He's an arrogant guy, kinda likes to make a display of himself. Shouldn't be hard to find him if he's there. The third moon is in the system, Koal, is the best place to confront him. I was able to scare him off for the time being, but I expect his latinum's too precious for him to leave the mineral-rich system unattended. Assemble your away team. I'll meet you on the surface of the mining facility. So yeah, that was just to appease the kind of we have to have some sort of ground combat, or space combat, since it's been, almost 40 minutes now and we haven't had any fighting. So we had to have something there. But no, Mine Enemy was always one of my favorite missions in Star Trek Online, and still is, really. It's plain and it's simple and it's rather bland, but it has character. And like a lot of the old stories and missions you'll find in Star Trek Online, they're simple and not particularly well written, but it's clear they have a lot of heart in them, and that the person that was writing them, the people that did develop them, it meant something to them. It meant a lot to them. It wasn't just a flashy story with some pew-pew lasers and all that kind of stuff. It was based around real Star Trek lore, and just, you could tell that a lot of heart and soul went into it. So, anyway, so we meet up with Captain 40i over here. So this must be the Leon mining facility. Looked bigger from the ship. There's Captain 40i, Fleet Admiral. We just need to head just ahead of us. Nizam takes a brief look around him and crosses his arms, getting his bearings for the facility before responding. Alright, it doesn't look like this facility's too big, but there's still quite a few residents around here. We should begin by questioning some of them, seeing if they know where we can find Madren. So this is funny. This is a little bit of a precursor to what's going to happen in a little bit. So, putting his hand up to his mouth, Gareth suddenly coughs deeply. Isn't looking too good. You doing alright there? I'm alright, Captain. I find it a little hard to breathe. I think it's the air here. Scans back on the ship show the mining facility be a breathable atmosphere, a little heavy but nothing too harsh. Maybe it's just the dust in the air. I think it was my allergies. It's probably best if you head back to the ship. Saran will take a look at you, see if we can do anything to help. That won't be necessary. I'll be fine. Alright, anyway, Fleet Admiral, take a look around and talk around with the people of the facility. Jeez, my writing. See what you can find out about Madren and where he is, and my team will do the same. Report in if you find anything. So, I always liked the coal mining facility, and just the whole, like the little shuttle up there going back and forth, the whole thing that you could like see like the asteroids right above head, just suspended in air. I just loved everything about it. I always loved this map. I always loved this map in the mission. So I had a bunch of characters here that you could talk to. Most of them would just be like, "Go away, get away from me. I don't want to talk to you." All that kind of stuff. Get off this planet. So you can't actually interact with most of them. And I think this guy's just the same. Like, get away. I'm not interested in trading with the likes of you. So he's a trader with a few SARs next to him. And then there's this guy over here. And this guy was actually based off one of the characters that you'll find in the actual mine enemy mission, I think, that's kind of sitting on the ground and you can talk to him a little bit. But anyway, what do you want? So one of the things I always liked about Star Trek Online as well is occasionally you'd have the options that said diplomatic, and essentially those would appear either A, if they were meant to be just a peaceful route to the story, or B, it would look at to see what your... Where's the... No, that's not it. It would look to see what your diplomatic rating, Charlie's a 0, but if you had a diplomatic rating of 4, then sometimes you would get different options. The devs did that a lot back in Delta Rising, and I think they've actually done it a few times in recent years, in recent episodes too. But you can say, "Have you looked in the mirror lately, Fang Face?" And it'll just close. So you have to get through this dialogue box without angering him, essentially. And you can do that just by continually clicking the things that say diplomatic. So anyway, you might want to try Ryza then. Everyone can find someone there, even though someone as ugly as you. Anyway, you say something diplomatic to him, and he says, "Madren, you're looking for the fat pig? Yeah, I know him. Sent him and my brother into deep parts of the mines because we couldn't get more than 10 kilos of raw magnesite out of a vein once. Do you know where he is?" "Oh, I ain't telling you nothing. I'm not getting in trouble because of his pansy little negotiations with him. All I'll say is in one of these buildings. Now go away." So you have to get 3 clues, essentially. That's what we have speaking with mining residents 3 times over there. I'm going to take a drink of water because I've been talking straight for 40 minutes and we're not even half done. Okay, moving on. I always liked the Warrigals, by the way. I always thought they were really cool looking. You had no idea how hard it was in the Foundry, because this was my first Foundry mission, obviously. You have no idea how hard it was to actually get these guys to, like, walk around and stuff. That was incredibly difficult. So we have more characters here. Leave me alone. And a few Orions saying, like, "I don't want to talk to you." And there's actually some enemies over there. Just because, like, with the original Mine enemy mission, occasionally some of the residents would just straight up attack you if you got too close to them. And so I wanted to kind of simulate that thing, but obviously I couldn't with the Foundry and its limitations. But I just spawned some enemies around the area to kind of simulate that feeling. So we'll talk to the next Rhino in here. And he's just really scared of everything. So questions, why, what for? Is this about the magnesite deficiency? I can't help it, our tools need replacing. The saw that I use is nearly 10 years old. No, please, not the pit again. Anything but there, I can't spend another night in the pit. Please, I'll work twice as hard, or half the pay. Just please don't let Madren put me back in the pit. So I was really getting into the whole, these people are really not being treated well thing, which is kind of what it was in the mission originally, obviously, but I had fun kind of writing this kind of stuff. But anyway, no, we're not police here. We're looking for Madren. Madren, where is he? No, I don't know. I think he might be somewhere around here, but I don't know where. I think he's on the east side, though, which, if you look at the map, the building that he's going to be in is, well, it's hard to see, but it's right about where Charlie's head is right now, that big building right there. And which is on the east side, actually. And I figured that would probably be where Madren stays, just because normally in the mission, he's right about here, in the actual Mine enemy mission. So I figured, yeah, he's probably over there. But I wonder what that is. Right there. I don't know what that is. It's over there. Interesting. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and attack these guys and get rid of them. Oh, jeez, do I have a better weapon? I do not, so we're just gonna use this one then. I thought I had a better weapon on me to take care of these guys a little bit faster, so it's just a group of Noskins, like I said, nothing too fancy. But just something to give, like, this is still a hostile environment that you should be careful around and stuff. And so, something that was fun to do is each of the... Actually, I think we encountered this guy before. Back over that way. But anyway, we get to talk to all of them once again, and it just points back to more of the get away from me, I don't want to talk to you kind of people and stuff. And then we have this lady over here. And boy, is she going to be a story. So I'm not actually going to read anything that is said here. Because what I did here was everything that she is saying, she's supposed to be pantomiming. I thought, oh boy, I'm really clever doing this. And so you as the player are asking all these questions, and she's not talking to you. She's not saying anything. But instead, she is kind of fearfully just pantomiming everything that everything that she wants to say to you to answer you. So you ask, like, where Madren is. She kind of just pauses a moment, then continues shaking her head no and all that kind of stuff. And I thought I was all real clever and stuff in doing this, I remember. Because it was like, oh, it's all yellow text. It's all actions and not words, since it's all contact dialogue. Normally, if this is a mission or something, I'm sure this would be like a cutscene or something. But obviously, only the devs have the ability to do that in the regular game and not the Foundry. But I always thought that was I was real proud of myself back in the day when I did that. Anyway, and that's where we get the third clue. It appears the Noskin over there is guarding Madren. So at this time, you might have noticed, they were there a moment ago, but there were two Noskins standing over there just guarding that door. And that was a clever thing that I learned from some videos about the Foundry. Is because this contact box popped up, it would normally hide that those guys despawned. And when I click this button, it's going to spawn some new guys over there, which are actually going to be enemies that we fight. But anyway, Fleet and I think we gathered enough information to the residents. From what we know, it sounds like Madren is the building guarded by the Noskins. I suggest we contact 40i to proceed. Excellent. From what my away team has gathered, we've been able to determine that he lives in the building somewhere near you. By the sounds of it, though, it seems like you already know where. We're on our way. Go and proceed to the building, though. Be advised, we're asking around. One of the residents of Madren keeps himself heavily guarded these days. Use caution. Acknowledged. And that's when some of them spawn over there. So we're just gonna start shooting these guys, because yeah. We gotta defeat them to get into the stronghold, essentially. So I'm gonna put some mines up here, and they're probably gonna activate before that guy. Whoa! I mean, that's fine. He got teleported away, but then kind of walked right back into the mines. So that's fine. Oh, this is a captain level Nausicaan. Nice. The Nausicaans look so cool. I love the Nausicaans. They're awesome. Anyway, that was a tiny little boss fight. Something I always had trouble with back in the day was making boss fights that would actually be difficult but not impossible. And when we get to play Brothers Bidding, that is actually a point that I am going to die. There's a boss fight in that mission that is just like you're faced against like 3 captains and like 12 commanders at once. In this tiny little space, and just like a lot of other games are, it's just absolute chaos grenade spam. It's kind of funny. I normally don't talk this much, so my throat's getting a little bit dry from talking this much. It's almost been an hour now. And this part of the story was called Worth One's Weight in Latinum. Instead of Worth One's Weight in Gold, or something like that. But anyway, Fleet Admiral, look at this place. It's actually halfway clean compared to the outside. To think Madren is living this place pampered and safe, while poor citizens of the facility outside suffer, it's horrible. What's going on here? Some kind of party? There are people everywhere, and there's Orion, dancer on one of those tables. So I see Captain 45 and Fleet Admiral. So obviously, because we couldn't have, like, my bridge officers being, like, a part of your team or anything, since that's not something that Foundry could do. I had to constantly, like, respawn and spawn them in and use different kind of methods to get them into the game. And, like, I wanted this whole situation I wanted this whole situation right here, this whole room, to kind of be this, like, really lewd party that we'd expect, like, the bad guy to be having or whatever. Just this lavish lifestyle right outside. You know, kind of like the... I'm trying to think. What's that? Kind of like, I think that movie? No? Maybe? I don't know. I was about to reference a movie, but I think I'm thinking of a different setting or whatever. But anyway, moving on over here. So, Admiral, good you're here. We're just about to confront Madren. He seems right about this being... Sorry, I was right about him being on this moon after all. We need to talk to Madren now, see what he knows. Twist his arm if you need be, if you get the idea. And so this was a fun little thing to write about. I loved writing for the Ferengi at the time when I did this. Because you could get a bunch of different things to say to him. And you say, Madren, I need a word with you. And you kind of just, what? Oh, what do you want? What do you want? But then you could go back, and there are different ones that you could do. So you could just smack him to get his attention. And then the guards would kind of get upset and like, whoa, what'd you just do to our boss and stuff. But one of the best ones, there was this one, writes, you tell him that he's in trouble, and he just kind of goes like, whatever, just take a bar of Latinum and leave. And other stuff. My favorite one, the favorite one that I did, which I don't know. I just thought it was funny at the time. Was look, Madren, a tub of Latinum, and he just goes like, "What? Where? It's mine. I claimed it first." And he goes, "Oh, you lied." It was fun writing for Madren at the time. Like I liked him as essentially the villain kind of character. He was fun. But anyway, picking my brains and cheap, it'll cost you, but of course we can talk prices later. What's on your mind? So then you can ask him a number of different questions. So, let's see. I forgot what all these do. My eyes are starting to cross. Oh boy. Okay. What do you know about recent Telsiar attacks in the Akbar system? You dealt with them in the past. Tell where I can find the Telsiar. Do you know anything about Telsiar nanoprobes, meaning scanning someone's neurology? Let's do that one. Ignoring your question. Oh, right. That's right, I forgot. Okay, so, right, it doesn't matter what you say to him, because he's just going to ignore you. Period. So, Nightham 45, what are you doing here? I thought you'd leave me alone if I got out of the slave mining business. Or is your precious Starfleet diplomacy worth a little more than Klingon grappa sauce? You have no right to be here. Indeed, I did say that. So who are all those people outside, then? The people outside? Oh, well, you see, it's a funny story. Madren? Oh, this isn't going to end well for me, is it? Guards, kill them all! Kill them all! And so it's fun. And unfortunately, I couldn't have it just end there and be like, these enemies suddenly turn mean or anything. Because we had... How the Foundry works is... Oh, wait, I gotta place bombs down, just to make sure that all works. Because of how the Foundry works, I couldn't just have these guys, like, suddenly turn evil or something when the contact ended. And so I had to say beam down backup. And then, like, a few more Nausicaans beam in, and then some more Starfleet people beam in, as well as the crew that have been standing here this whole time, Nizam and his gang specifically. I'm just gonna pull that in. Jeez, I'm getting pummeled here. Start attacking because they're not actually NPCs. They were actual critter groups. I think they're called, or something like that. And so they were actual, like, Federation aligned characters that would fight alongside you if an enemy presented themselves. So anyway, talk to Madren now. And so that's actually interesting how I did that, because I had to put Madren into a different state. So this isn't the same Madren that you saw originally. During the firefight, he actually beamed out and beamed back in. But you never noticed that, did you? That's the magic of the Foundry right there. Anyway, I suppose I could just pay this off. Alright, Madren, enough is enough. We need information and I need to know something. Either you can answer our questions or I can arrest you, turn over to Starfleet, and they can ask you our questions. If I turn myself in, can I keep my latinum? No. Don't think I've forgotten about what happened on Cole one little bit. I remember what you and that fat cat you brought along. You derailed my entire setup and caved in my mines, which is once again referencing what happened in the episode, in the featured episode, Mine Enemy. So, rule of acquisition number 47, never trust a man wearing a better suit than your own. If I tell you anything, how I know you won't trust back on your word and arrest me anyway? I always thought this part was a little stupid of me to write. And I said, I'm a Federation Captain, Madren. You may think I've gone back on my word in the past, but really, you're the one that turned out to be the liar. As much as I'd love to see you behind bars in Federation prison, my mission is far more important than you to deal with right now. You have my word, I'll forget this nonsense ever happened. It just kind of seemed like out of character for Nizam to say compared to everything that he had said previously, but I had to kind of move the story along. So, it was kind of weird how that worked out, but fine, what is it you want from me? Two weeks ago, our ship was attacked by a group of Tal Shiar ships. They disabled us, rendered the crew unconscious, then infected both the captain and Commander Gareth with nanoprobes. So, what do you expect? He feels sorry for you? Oh, boo-hoo, 40 Ivan Fluffy had an owie. Listen, you spineless little... That's enough, everyone. It's fun going back and reading my stuff from 5 years ago. Anyway. Madren, you've dealt with the Tal Shiar in the past, and Ferengi as lucrative as you, I'm sure you're have ears all over the quadrant. I need to know who attacked my ship, why they attacked my ship, and where they are now. Don't tell me you don't know, because I know you do. Fine. Okay, let me explain. I'm sick before you sick the blue guy on me. About a month ago, I was approached by a rather seductive Romulan. She was wearing that really sparkly plaid setup, you know, the one the Tal Shiar have. She was interested in business, turns out. Almost a shame, really. But remember the rule of acquisition, number 57. Good customers are as rare as latinum, and that's another thing I had to do. I had to look up a number of rules of acquisitions, because I obviously don't know them off the top of my head like a real Trekkie. Anyway, a member of the Tal Shiar, what was her name? Her name? I think it was Kiana, which is the character we saw before that talked to Titan, by the way. Kiana, she's the sub-commander that contacted Titan. Thank you, Euros. It looks like Starfleet and the Romulan Council were right about her involvement. What about this business? Actually, she wanted the same thing as you, information. At least she paid me. She wanted to know where you were, where you would be in the next week or so. So I may have checked through Starfleet's database for your name, upcoming assignments and flight plans, that kind of stuff. How did you get in Starfleet's database? That's irrelevant. Did she say anything, like what she wanted to know your location? What for? No, she didn't. Your location, that's all she wanted, and then left. Didn't say anything else. I'm not trying to draw attention away from myself or anything like that, but that tubby cat over there isn't looking too good. And so this is kind of where things start to take an interesting turn, and really start to take a turn for Gareth, or Saran's, backstory as well. For the past while, you've seen Gareth holding his head like he's in pain. Seconds after his comment, a heavy thud, Gareth collapses to the ground, seemingly unconscious. I didn't do it! Gareth, you're as Sosov. Get Gareth to sickbay. I'll be right behind you. Madren, thank you for your help. I'd say it's been a pleasure, but I'd be lying. Stay out of trouble, or you'll see me again. I mean it this time. Fleet Admiral, it's your call, but I think we should beam up to the Mahalo as well. Captain 45 might need your assistance. And so this was... I don't know what to really say about this part. Like, this part was a little bit of a stretch, but it's also a good part, I think, because it was key to expanding Gareth's character later on and why he is afraid of nanobots. I have this whole little, like, stories and stuff for both my characters, for Nizam and for Gareth and or Saran, essentially. And they've grown over the course of the game. Most of them have grown based on things that actually happened while I was playing in the game, such as the acquisition of the Mahalo, the acquisition of my bridge officers, and all that kind of stuff as we've been seeing here. So, we're going to go up to talk to Saran here, looking over Gareth. Anyway, the Triox compound seems to have helped stabilize his cardiopulmonary systems for now, but his body temperature is still too high. So once again, one moment, I need a drink of water again. Refreshment. Anyway. Jeez, that facial expression. This is once again another case where I did a lot of research in figuring out how medicine in Star Trek worked. And so they mentioned that he needed a Triox compound. Let me restart this, actually, so I can talk about each of these. So the Triox compound stabilizes cardiopulmonary systems. So the Memory Alpha Wiki, which is the Wikipedia essentially for Star Trek, it talks about a bunch of medicines and what they were supposed to do. And the Triox compound was actually to stabilize cardiopulmonary systems. And later we have it's attacking his neural pathways again. He's going into neuroleptic shock. Give him 4 cc's of syneptazine. Syneptazine was also a medicine that was shown multiple times in Star Trek to help with neurological disorders. Its effects should be more potent than that, but something's going into, he's going into neuroleptic shock. He's coming out of neuroleptic shock. Give him a 2.3 milliliter dose of Ritalin. It's not Ritalin. It's not Ritalin. It was Ritalin or something like that. For the fever, and a 1 milliliter dose of anesthesiine for the pain. Anesthesiine, I think, was actually, it's this, right? No, that's Divaline. Wait a minute. Zilla skills, ground skills. Go to this one. Isn't it? No, that's Meslarine. Okay. Interesting. I thought. Anyway, anesthesiine was for pain, and this Ritalin, or whatever it's called, was actually for fevers in Star Trek as well. It's alright, Commander. Just relax. Everything's under control. Fleet Admiral, thank you for coming to our assistance, but there's no need to worry about Commander Gareth. He'll be just fine. Apparently, for some reason, the remaining nanoprobes in the Commander's blood started to become active once again while he beamed down to the mining facility. Over the past hour or so, you've been gone down there. Progressively, they started to become more volatile. From my previous analysis of them, nothing suggested they were dead, but at the same time, nothing suggested they were alive either. So for the time, I ruled them to be dormant at best. Over the past 2 weeks, I've been removing them from Gareth's system. They never gave any trouble before. It could be well a number of things: minor glitch in the transporter buffer, electron counts in the atmosphere mining facility, the amount of raw magnesite down there. There are many things that could that I could use for an educated guess. The captain is Trill. That we ask, like, why is this happening to Gareth and not Nizam? And my answer to that was, the captain is Trill, whereas the commander is Cation, two very different species. Brain neurology doesn't match up enough. So one of the reasons for this also was I was reading, and apparently, if I remember correctly from Star Trek lore, Trills have a very high, what's the word? Immune system, a very high defensive immune system. And so I figured it would probably be better than Cation. So even if it were to happen, it would probably fight off it. The captain's natural immunity is probably protecting him from this. That's exactly right. So right now, for the reasons I can't determine, the nanoprobes are, for whatever reason, it seems attacking his neural pathways, so you're becoming to melt with his, become one. The Cation mind is resilient, and he'll make a fine recovery. He'll be fit for duty again, if not tomorrow. To Gareth, I hope he feels better than when he wakes up. Yeah, so I don't really know what to say. It's been over an hour now, and we're still about halfway through, I think. But yeah, the whole situation with this was we'll find out why the nanites just suddenly kind of started reactivating themselves. Not why they did, but what their purpose for reactivating story-wise was. Anyway, Nizam and Topona are out here, and we're at a kind of distance. So we gotta be at a distance here, or we're overhearing the conversation at first. Anyway, how am I supposed to run this ship, Topona? I can't even keep one of my officers safe from a Ferengi. You mustn't blame yourself, Commander, for the illness. The changes have been predicted for the The changes having predicted the nanoprobes reanimating during the away mission would seem unlikely. Gareth never graduated the academy, was expelled from the last 2 months, but I graduated. Despite Starfleet's recommendations, I enlisted Gareth as my first officer. This is kind of going back and showing Nizam's backstory, and how both of them were friends back at the academy, and Gareth failed because obviously he was too fat and couldn't graduate, but was later given a battle promotion to be Nizam's commander, because, you know, during the Star Trek Online timeline, you essentially go from ensign to captain in like a day. So, you know, I figured it's not really realistic, but it's about as realistic as what we have in Star Trek Online. So, forgive me if I'm wrong, but it would appear that having an emotional response to this situation, despite having a little commander's experience or your judgment as captain of the ship. You're right. I've known the commander for many years. I consider him a close friend, family, just like anyone else on the ship. I allowed him to stay on the surface of the mining facility. I just hate to see him suffer. Oh my word. Go back for a moment there. What in the heck kind of... Do that face again. Do that face again. What the heck? I was reading and I paused and I looked up and I'm like, oh, that facial expression, I love it. Anyway, I too care for the commander's well-being, and Doctor will take care of him. The mission is high importance, Starfleet and the Romulan people. You cannot let your emotions cloud the situation. It's high risk. Anyway, then he kind of finally notices us. Hi, I didn't know you were standing there. Anyway, it's alright. What's your plans now? Well, Madren turned out to be a little help. We already knew Kiana was more than likely involved in this. Her wanting to know our previous location doesn't tell us anything. Honestly, I think we've hit a dead end. And this is kind of where things start to take a little bit of an interesting turn, I think. But anyway, Captain, I'm getting a strange error since readings from the bridge. What's the problem, Rishi? There's an anonymous subspace signal being sent from the ship. It doesn't match any known Starfleet frequencies. Can you isolate the source? It's coming from sickbay. Can you be more specific? I'm afraid not. You should be using the internal sensors in sickbay for a clearer reading. Acknowledged. And this is where this is one of those times where I felt like it's one of those instances in Star Trek Online where you just run around doing mindless scanning and interacting with things. So just kind of mimicking how Star Trek Online plays its mission. So anything, the signal's too weak. I can't isolate its source. And so we'd kind of start using the tricorder in various areas. So I think the first area was over here. And it's kind of like homing in on the signal that's rather obvious on the medical bed over there. Then we go over here and do another scan. And once again, nothing. Let's go scan Gareth. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Anyway, hold up, Fleet Admiral, I've got something. Captain, I'm reading this right. It appears signal is coming from Commander Gareth. How is that possible? I'm not sure, sir. Bridge to sickbay. Doctor, we're detecting a rogue subspace signal coming from the area. Scan suggests it's coming from the commander. Can you concur? A subspace signal coming from the commander? It appears the nanoprobes that are still active inside the system are emanating some sort of energy. They're producing alarming amounts of power doing so. That might be what's causing his fever. Can you... what exactly does the signal contain? What's it doing? I'm a pilot, sir, not a doctor. Classic Starfleet reference there. Star Trek reference there. But if I had to guess, the formation of the waves comprise look very similar to a detailed biosign reading. I can concur with that. The readings on the probes are emanating are identical to Caitian DNA algorithms. Captain, these probes are broadcasting what appears to be the commander's DNA structures. Why would they do that? Who would know Gareth's genetics? Rishi, I have a hunch. Trace the signal. Where is it being sent? One moment, sir. This is strange, Captain. I'm reading the signal loud and clear. It's being sent to the Iota Pavonis sector. Its current heading leads to known star systems. It's stopping just empty space. Those probes are from the Tal Shiar. If I had to guess, after the Tal Shiar attacked us, they rendered the probes dormant when they were done with us. Now that they're active again, they might be trying to continue what they were designed for. Rishi, lay in a course ending location of the subspace signal. Looks like Madren found... looks like Madren turned out to be more help than I first thought. We're headed to find where the subspace signal is being sent. Beam back to your ship and follow the course. Right, so this is where we start to find out more about the story. But anyway, course laid in. I'm actually feeling rather tired at the moment, so I'm going to be pausing at the moment. Don't worry, the video is going to continue, obviously. So I'm going to pause the recording here and then pick this up in just a little bit. Okay, we're back. I have been sufficiently rested my voice and had a nice injection of caffeine. Also, Gareth seems to be standing on the bed now. Okay, anyway, let's go on to the next map. Yes, energize and lay in a course to the... Where the heck were we going? Well, right, we're following the signal. Yeah, sorry about that. I had... my cat's looking at me. She's looking up at me from her little bed, and she's like, Daddy, why are you making such loud noises all of a sudden? That's cute. Anyway, yeah, I cut the video there just because I had been talking, obviously, for probably about an hour now, and I'm just like, I need to rest my voice. I can't talk. So, anyway, back to the story. So... this was a little bit of an interesting part. So we have the Mahalo that we're about to come up on right here, and we're about to talk with it. So it's been, well, like we're about to read here. It's been we've been traveling at warp 8.9 for a little more than a day. During the trip, contact between your ship and the Mahalo has been fairly quiet until now. Fleet Admiral, we reached the coordinates for the signal drop-off point. There appear to be a large, extremely large nebula surrounding the areas. Sensors are unaffected. I'm not sure. We're not near any known star systems. Charts suggest the closest system is the Fitzan system, next being the Cero system, or I don't know how to pronounce that, but they're both a high number of light years away. The Mahalo 2 is hailing us. Good to see you were able to keep up with us. Scans of our ship are picking up some unusual readings. This nebula is causing interference with our short-range variable geometry sensors, so we aren't able to get clear scans of what's ahead. The signals begin... Oh boy, I need to slow down. Okay, had too much caffeine. The signal began to dissipate rapidly when we entered this area of space, but we don't think it was because of the nebula alone. My science officer tells me there are signs of generated subspace interference. Whatever this signal was going after is straight ahead. Honestly, I'm not sure. We could be walking into an additional abandoned Tal Shiar base, or we could be walking right into an ambush. There's no way for us to tell at this point. I love that Nizam's rolling his eyes up there. That's great. I'd recommend we go in red alert until we find out what's waiting for us here. Truthfully speaking, it would be yellow alert. You know, I'm looking back at it now. But anyway, how's the commander doing? Commander's doing much better, thank you, Fleet Admiral. Indeed, he has made a quick recovery. En route, upon further study, the doctor was successful in disabling the remaining nanoprobes in the commander's system. Once shut down, they ceased attacking his neural pathways. Ready and fit for duty. Doc even removed the rest of the nanites. You can see why I commissioned Saran. Here's my Chief Medical Officer. Anyway, Fleet Admiral, ready to proceed with the mission. Alright, so, like you said, the signal is pointing straight ahead to that bunch of debris and what's obviously Borg cubes over there. But what I was about to say is that Mahalo, that we are just leaving right now, is one of 2 Mahalos. I obviously couldn't get the ships to actually follow you, so I actually have 2 ships. So once that ship that we left back there is way out of range, the next Mahalo is right back over here. And this is also where we get a few of the... oh, okay. My word, look at this place. There are Tal Shiar ships everywhere. I'm reading a number of Borg vessels in the area as well, Fleet Admiral. The Borg ships appeared to be disabled, no life signs, and by these readings they've been dead in the water for a long time now. If they have, they don't appear to care much. Right, if they've detected us. The subspace interference seems to be jamming their perceptions much more so than ours. The Mahalo is hailing us again. We're detecting large power fluctuations from an unknown source, coming from inside the nearest docking facility. It appears to be their main structure here. Look at this place. How long have the Tal Shiar been here, right under Starfleet's nose? How has this base operations not been detected long ago? No one ever detected them in this nebula, not with the subspace interference. The Mahalo has enhanced sensors, unlike Starfleet's standard issue. That actually goes back into the backstory of the Mahalo. Since... I'll explain that right after I finish reading this, since that's actually a little bit of a long story. Long-range scans couldn't detect anything, and we weren't able to tell this place until we were right on top of it. If the ship couldn't see it, no one else can either. The Tal Shiar are a secretive group, but usually not to this extent. I have a bad feeling about this. Me and my team are beaming down to what appears to be their main base. Bridge and engineering, Segas, I'm going to need some muscle on this away mission. Gear up, and me as the transporter. So I had Segas join us for this part of the mission instead of Zosov, like we had in the previous mission, just because I wanted to show off one of my other bridge officers. You hear a loud piece of metal slam across the ground over the comms. Yes, Captain! Commander, are you feeling along? Yes, sir. Alright. You and Yurez as well with me. Rishi, you have the bridge. Fleet Admiral, I'd like to accompany you to accompany us on the base. Right, so... Oops, okay. So, the story behind the Mahalo originally. So, this was long before... Let's see. Oh boy, I don't even remember what season it was back then, just to give an idea. Long before Delta Rising. That's for certain. I'd say it probably was about maybe 4 months or so after fleets were introduced to the game. So my fleet's SWAT was one of the first fleets in the entire game to reach Tier 4. I don't think we were the first, but we were one of the first. And there were only like 4 other, maybe 5 other fleets in the entire game at the time that had reached that level. And so when we finally reached that level, I had my eyes set on the Mahalo, aka the Aquarius Escort. And so I specifically had saved up tons of resources, tons of fleet ship modules, all that kind of stuff, to buy that ship immediately. The moment, and I'm not kidding, I got up in the middle of the night to go buy this ship, waiting for the Tier 4 upgrade of our starbase to complete. I bought that ship literally within the first 20 seconds that we had Tier 4. And so I can't say this for a fact, obviously, but there's a very high possibility, I feel, that I may very well have been the very first person in the game to own an Aquarius Escort at the time. I don't know that for a fact, but I know I was at least one of the very, very few people that ever actually bought the ship at the very immediate point that you could get it. And so I made that whole story up that the ship was actually from the future because of how new it was. And that's why the ship was supposedly have enhanced sensors than anything in Starfleet doesn't have. What is that awful smell? It smells like burning tar. The air appears to be saturated with a gaseous compound byproduct. Its chemical structure suggests it's machinery exhaust. I can't tell where it's causing it. You know, that's a really horrible thing to do inside a space station when you think about it. But anyway, moving on. Why can't we beam out into someplace with clean air? Fleet Admiral, I'm not sure how large this complex is, but judging by our data on our ship gathered before we beaten down, I'd assume it's decently large. I think we should split up like last time. Contact us if you find anything. I wish I knew. What are we looking for? As you know, Starfleet and the Romulan Council believe... Did I misspell council there? I just noticed that. That's consul. Console, I think. Anyway, believe the Commander Gareth and myself were probed for memory structures we possess, but keep an eye out for anything strange. They may not have been right after all. Eyes and ears open, Admiral. We don't know what we're going to expect here. Be prepared for anything. So this is another area that people got stuck at and quit a lot of the times, especially when people tried to play it with multiple people. So there's some enemies here that we're going to just go ahead and attack. And so there's a little bit of an issue here that once we collect all the data that we can from the few consoles that are going to be around the wall here, there's going to be an invisible wall that goes right back somewhere around here. It's the invisible wall pops up around somewhere. And the reason for that is because I didn't want the player to come back and notice that the away team, my bridge officers, were still back here when we're going to actually meet them in the next room. So, anyway. Interacting with the console. And we don't get anything until we, classic Star Trek Online, run around, click things, run over to the next thing to click it as well. But I had a great time making this interior. I was really proud. I still am really proud of the interior that I made for this particular map. Because it was fun to get to use a bunch of these Romulan, just generic Romulan map, and then outfit it with all this cool Borg technology that we're seeing. But anyway, I'm not seeing anything overly out of place here. These computers contain information past Romulan and Tal Shiar scientific products of genetic sequencing, but nothing more that one could look up in a public database. We should keep looking. So yeah, anyway, once we enter this area, a place... Okay. Fleet Admiral, what is this place? Are these clones? Fleet Admiral, these bodies, there's some cosmetic differences, but look frighteningly similar to Captain 40 and Commander Gareth. There appears to be a number of terminals throughout the room. I recommend we search for whatever information we can find on this and report back to the captain. Agreed. Ah, boy, I remember making this. And unfortunately, it looks like some of the animations that a few of the clones had are broken now. So that's kind of sad. I'm sure that happened when the famed Animation 2.0 conversion a long time ago happened for Star Trek Online. I don't remember when exactly that happened. That happened sometime around Agents of Yesterday, I hear. Right? If that's when things kind of started breaking, if I recall. Is there one more? Yeah, there's one more over there. Yeah. So we have a bunch of the clones here that are of Gareth and Saran. Some of them are just floating around and, well... Like these guys, I'm pretty sure they were supposed to be just... I don't remember what it was exactly. They were either like floating or they were just dead. I'm pretty sure they were floating, but anyway, we need to... What do we need to do? Oh, right, we need to find information about the clones that are standing upright, unfortunately. It's been a long time. It's been a long road. Anyway. Admiral, I think I may have found something. There appears to be an extensive log of medical records stored on this terminal. It appears to access the files. And so this is actually rather interesting. So if you're looking at what's on screen right now, this is complete and utter gibberish. It's not complete and utter gibberish. But, like, you ask here, like, what language is this? And sorry, Fleet Admiral, while I do have full access and editing control of the files, it appears Tal Shiar scientists here have been successful in encrypting the logs of what we could access on them. This encryption sequence doesn't look very complicated, however. Give me a few minutes. I think I might be able to crack it. In the meantime, we should inform Captain 40 on our findings. And so, as soon as we click Captain 40 what seems to be the issue? Really? That was rather fast. What is it? I think it's best you see for yourself. Acknowledged. 40 Mahalo requesting away team site-to-site transport and our current position. We're on our way. Yeah, and so that's when the rest of the bridge crew come. And so right now, essentially, Your science officer is supposedly going over and taking care of those logs. But, yeah. Yeah, and you can come back here, and Nazim's just kind of like, holy crud. Fleet Admiral, is this what your group found? Nazim remains silent for a few moments as he stares at the clones behind the containment chamber's glass. He intensely looks at the clone's pale, dead face. Except for the Romulan forehead details and lack of trill spots, that's me in there. My word, they even got the style of my hair right. Those the Caitians over there, they're the commander, all of them. I haven't seen the genetic cloning experimentation to this extent since the incident with Dr. Sabak on Donatu Prime's lunar research station some years back. And so I'm just going to go ahead and ask who Dr. Sabak is. For those of you who don't know, Dr. Sabak was essentially a villain in a very small mission in Star Trek Online. It's not available to play most of the year. It only becomes available once every Friday the 13th rolls around and every Halloween. Essentially, the story, as Nazim is telling here, was Dr. Sabak was a highly regarded Vulcan scientist that worked at the Donatu Prime Lunar Research Station. He specialized in studying psionic phenomena. A few years ago, he went silent and didn't contact anyone for some time. He apparently had contracted Bindi syndrome. At the research station alone, he conducted unethical experiments in cloning himself to attempts to find a cure for his disease. In the end, his work didn't save him. In the mission, that's exactly what happens. That particular mission has always been a favorite of mine in Star Trek Online, right up there with Mine Enemy. The story was just fascinating, and the background of the whole mission was really cool too. Because apparently the story goes that mission was made by a single developer in Star Trek Online years ago, all on their own time, unpaid, and they made it just because of how much they love the game. I loved the amount of passion that went into that, and I wanted to encapsulate it in some degree. So anyway, sorry for interrupting, but I've managed to decrypt the data logs about these clones. I think you and the captain should have a look. So we'll go back to that console in just a minute here. But something else I also did was I have logs that you can actually read about in every one of these consoles. And so you can see like how each of the clones were a little bit different, how long they actually lived, how the maturation process, and how long the clone only lived. This one only lived 11.2 days. And I also added a cause of death for each of them: cranial cavity deformation, organ failure. Most of the Caitians that resembled Gareth obviously died mostly to their obesity in one way or another, or organ failure, whereas the Trill ones tended to err on the side of viruses or deformations. So like neural disconnectivity, organ failure, and then of course you notice that there are two that are completely empty, and there is no cause of death date on either of them. And kidney failure for that one. Once again, that one only took 14 days, but he's not dead. And then cardiovascular collapse. And then neurological trauma. So anyway, we can also talk to Gareth over here, who's just kind of beside himself looking at one of these clones. So that's me in there. To be more precise, it's a genetically altered clone, so no, it's not you exactly, Commander. Am I really that fat? Yes, you are. A little bit of a joke, but I really enjoyed making this map, and I used this map when I made my own little trailer of the Foundry mission, which you can still find it on my channel. I may include it in this video, even, I'm not sure, but I just loved how this looked. I was really proud of myself when I made all of this a long, long time ago. It's fun getting to look back at it now, you know. But anyway, we go back here to view the medical logs, and I was about to explain a moment ago about all that gibberish that we saw. It's actually very simple, just rearranging of all the letters and the words. So like, certain words are really easy to read. Like, there was one word I happened to notice while we were looking at that a moment ago that read EHT or ETH or something like that, and it was just a rearrangement of the word the. And so that's what it was. It was just a big rearrangement. I played this mission with a fleetmate one time, and they happened to notice that, and they were actually able to decode all of it on their own. You know who you are, by the way, if you've actually been bothering to watch it up to this point, so yeah. Anyway. Oh boy, okay, I need to get a drink of water, because we've got a lot to read here. Okay, so this is, honestly, this whole spiel that I'm about to read took me approximately 2 days to write. It's that much. So, Analyst Dale has brought me new information from Sub-Commander Kiana concerning Project Narcissus. By the way, I don't remember what exactly it was, but Narcissus was, I believe it was like the god of reanimation or something like that. There was a reason I chose that name. I don't remember why, but anyway. The Mahalo was spotted yesterday. A decoy squadron of Tavara warbirds was dispatched to distract the Mahalo. The IRW at Intraku then proceeded to fire a light polarized Thaleron pulse to disable its crew. Samples of Captain 40 and Commander Gareth were collected aboard the Intraku using adapted Borg technology. The two were returned to the Mahalo and samples brought to my lab division. The sub-commander wants the project fully completed and indoctrinated within 2 weeks, not much time to work with. So one thing that you learn from playing in the Romulan faction a lot is that the Tal Shiar use indoctrination technology. Essentially, it's brainwashing technology to make Romulans do their bidding. It's really kind of dark, honestly. But anyway, continuing on. The samples obtained have been more difficult to work with than I first anticipated. Due to the genetic differences in the Romulan and Trill and Caitian genomes, grafting genetic matrices had proved a challenge for my lab division. 12 clones began their maturation process late day before. Most have reached adolescence at this stage, 7 of which did not survive. Cause of death is once again determined by genetics differences between my people and theirs. This is never going to work in time. And I've been including the star dates at which all this happened, which were actual days, by the way. I used what's the word? Like a converter, that's the word, online, to convert star dates, which were supposedly, I think, in 2409, which Star Trek takes place in, and these are only like a few days apart, or some of them even on the same day. So you'll notice, like, I can't really read the numbers myself, like what they translate to in terms of actual, like, month, day, year. But there is a pattern to it. Anyway, 23 more batches of clone, 10 Trill, 13 Caitian, were started midday yesterday. Most have reached full maturation at this point, however, grafting is still an issue. Trills have high natural immunities to many toxins Romulans are susceptible to. In attempts to remove these immunities, the subject becomes hypersensitive to all bacteria. Even just touching with a bare hand can cause a highly spread-prone rash within minutes of contact. I've kept the environment as clean as I can, though the smallest of bacteria proves to be fatal in the long term. Closer genetic graft testing is necessary before continuing. Caitian DNA is much more compliant to the grafting procedures and has experienced few problems. However, metabolism intake between Romulan grafting points and this particular Caitian genetic sample is a problem. Each clone suffers from mild obesity and is usually the cause of death, organ shutdown. I have yet to determine a way to control the metabolism levels of the subject, though I am certain the answer lies within sample's personal genetic coding, as most Caitian sample records do not have this issue. The next day, Sub-Commander tells us that she is planning to have a set of clones, both Romulan grafted Trill and Romulan grafted Caitian, as head of a Romulan Star Empire Command Chain Fleet Squadron. She believes within knowledge and quantities that both subjects possess, she will be able to form a Tal Shiar fleet capable of ending the oppression of our people. Honestly, I don't see that happening without problems. I have solved most of the grafting issues between the two species, however, neurological and cardiovascular issues both still remain. After nearly 2 weeks of work and approximately 89 casualties so far, 2 alert clones are showing signs of no signs of genetic grafting issues. They are currently conscious and have vocal and motor control capabilities. Both are being kept under observation for the time while the indoctrination procedures are being conducted. Centurion KL tells me indoctrination should only take a few more days. Good thing too, our 2-week period is almost complete, and Subcommander Kiana was becoming restless. I hope she enjoys her new recruits. And this is where we learn the names of our 2 new clones that we're about to meet, Valar and Garen. The clones in this room, they must be a small fraction of the number of subjects they experimented upon while being kept in this station. This is what the Tal Shiar wanted us for. This is what Kiana planned all along. Starfleet and Romulan Council, I still don't know if I spelled that right, I think I did, but are in grave danger, but are incorrect at what front they believed they were vulnerable. We have to find the clones that were successful. They pose a high risk to let this go. That might be a problem, though. These clones aren't just aren't your average Tal Shiar agents. They have both my and the commander's memories and capabilities, along with the indoctrination of the Tal Shiar induced on them. If it were either one, we could guess their game plan and create a counter, but both, even I'm not sure to expect of myself. But you're right, Urez. This is too great a risk to let go. We have to find them no matter what. We need to continue searching the station. Hopefully these clones haven't been released into the game board yet. Lead the way. Alright, so that's when we finished with this map, simply because I was actually closing in on the limit of the number of items that I could place. And so we're going to use the terminal over here to activate the elevator, which is the door right here, and go on to the next room. Gotta have water when you do long episodes like this, but anyway. Like I said, this was near the release of Legacy of Romulus, so obviously the 2 characters we're about to meet, Valar and Garen, were the characters that I also have, that I think I've shown them in 1 or 2 videos. Valar being my Romulan character, and his first officer, Garen, which is an exact duplicate of Gareth. And this is another part of the mission that I always was really proud of myself for, because I made these kind of like containment pens of all the clones that were alive but rejects, and we'll explain more about that in just a minute. But in the meantime, we gotta kill these people. Oh, hello, flanker. I really need a better weapon. You know, really looking at it, I'm surprised at how wimpy this weapon is. The Kelvin Timeline phaser pistol. Like, it's surprising how pathetically weak this thing is. It also kind of shows a bit. Oh, okay. Ah, boy. Oh. 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 Oh.
2,000 years later.
Okay, 20 minutes of loading maps later, we're finally back, and I actually have decent weapons now. And I'd rather not die all over again. That is one thing I will not miss about the Foundry when it dies, is the fact that if you have to fail a map, if you have to fail an area, you're not allowed to respawn in that particular map again like you are in every other instance of Star Trek Online. No, you have to go and revisit every single map in the Foundry mission again. And that means loading through every single map again. So I've cut it from the video, but I have been doing that, going through maps, going through loading missions for 20 minutes just to get back to this point. So right now I'm a little tweaked right now, if you couldn't tell. Azilla, heal yourself. Thank you. Okay. Fleet Admiral, look at this place. More clones. Captain 45, Commander Gareth. They look more aggressed than the ones on the lower level. Perhaps the two successful ones we were looking for are somewhere in this room. I doubt it. Judging by their barbaric behavior, I'd have to assume these are the clones that were suffering from neurological issues mentioned in the logs. The two we're looking for were told to be clear-minded as you and me. Is there anything we can do to help these clones? As I was looking through the logs before, presenting them to Captain 45 and you, Fleet Admiral, I noticed that the text said they were neurologically impaired clones were essentially brain-dead, functioning only on sporadic motor control. There's no way to repair the damage already done to them. It may seem alive to you and me, but there's nobody home. So what, we just leave them there? There's nothing we can do for them. I recommend we continue searching the station. There's a door blocking the way in the next room. We'll need to find controls to unlock it. So yeah, that was one of the kind of sad things, because we're going to end up, destroying this base at the end of the mission. And I didn't want to leave the player feeling like, yeah, hey, all these clones, we're just going to kill you all. I didn't want it to be like that. So I wanted to be like, these people are not actually alive, really. They're just kind of... you know how like a... oh boy, that's dark. You know how like a chicken twitches and continues to move after you kill it? It's kind of like that. They're not actually alive. They're just kind of like brain functions are going on there, but nothing's actually going on up there. Kind of like when you see those squids at restaurants, and they're already dead. They've been dead for quite some time. And then you pour gravy on them, and they start reanimating. It's kind of like that. Nothing's actually happened. It's just... Seriously, Morley, you just made that person flank us. So yeah, I got rid of the stinking little dinky phaser that I was using before. Like, I was looking at this thing earlier, by the way. It says it does 65 phaser damage, 164 DPS. Compared to the Advanced Fleet Plasma Rifle, this thing supposedly does even more damage. 164 phaser damage, my butt. Okay, moving on. But anyway, no, that room was another room that I really enjoyed making. And I just loved the making the details of maps like this, with all the Borg tech and the smoke and lining the walls with stuff and Romulan consoles. It's just fun to do. It's fun to do stuff like this, you know? That's the one thing I will miss about the Foundry the most, is the ability to create your own stories. I feel like that is that's what's going to hurt people the most, is not only losing their Foundry missions, but also the ability to create your own missions in Star Trek Online, your own stories, you know? Because that's what Star Trek is about. It's about exploration and exploring not only, new civilizations and alien races, but exploring yourself, too. Exploring who you are and what it means to be who you are, and the stories that make you who you are. So I think that's going to be something that's very sad when the Foundry finally goes, because that meant something to Star Trek, you know. But Fleet Admiral, by the looks of this room, I'd say this is where the Tal Shiar perform their indoctrination procedures on new recruits. Those are the clones in the machine. They appear to be the only ones here, and they look more civilized than the ones we saw previously. They might be the two we were looking for. We should speak to Captain 45 and see how he wants to handle this. And this is another room that I was really proud of myself. Oh, there's a console there. Really proud of myself when I made originally, just because I was like, I love how like the composition came together and stuff with the things in the center and the force fields. It was just really cool. I liked it. Anyway, I'm going to talk with 45 here. These must be the two clones that were successful while you were searching for the upper room. The upper level, Admiral. Me and my away team had the Mahalo scan the rest of the facility for Romulan grafted trills and Caitians. There were many, many more clones aboard the station in states like the ones before, but none in this particular section other than these two. These have to be them. The capabilities of my knowledge that we possess, I can't let them fall into Tal Shiar hands, no matter what the cost. But I'd rather not have to take the drastic action. The data logs stated that their indoctrination procedures were not yet complete. Perhaps we can somehow reason with them, but we need to hurry. Who knows how much of their personalities are left intact after the Tal Shiar have done to them. We need to free them from the machines. So anyway, yes, we can free both Garen and Valar here. And then we get to have some clone fun. Alright, so can't Jar Hobus Master Empire. Who are you? Why have you freed me from my teachings? Tal Shiar, I must try to relax. I know whatever you're experiencing, transitioning from now to it must have been hard, but please listen. Yuraz, what are you doing here? That's when we finally realize, oh, we're clones. We're the same person. You're me, Captain 45. Nizam, why are you Captain 45 here? What? Yep, that's what we get. Never thought I'd see that face outside of a mirror before. I know this must sound strange, but save your breath, Captain. I already know why you're here, because of me, and because of Garen here. Sub-Commander Kiana already warned us both that we might face you one day, although things considered, I didn't exactly expect that to be this soon. I see, well, that would only make sense. Why you'd be one step ahead it would only make sense that I would be one step ahead of myself, right? You find that funny, don't you? Well, I mean, I did at the time when I was writing it, but looking at yourself in a dark reflection of what you fear, and yet you still make light of the situation. It's pathetic, really. I don't want any trouble. You say you know why I'm here, then you must obviously know I can't let you stay with the Tal Shiar. Neither of you. Starfleet, you and all smiles and warm welcomes, but it comes to the ultimatum, are you friend or an enemy? In my case, neither, nor Starfleet will view me as either. Your view of me and Garen is a risk. Oh, you view me and Garen as a risk, and an anomaly, your precious plans, something that has to be contained, quieted. And here you are, as anticipated, to deliver that ultimatum to me personally. The Tal Shiar stand for what is right, for my people are oppressed. I won't abandon my race for deceivers like you, despite if I don't completely agree with the Tal Shiar's tactics. So what's it going to be here, Captain? Uphold the Federation principles that take us against your will so you can spend the rest of our lives in Starfleet containment facility, or are you actually going to kill us and tie ends up? The indoctrination machine must have taken more of myself out of you than I first thought. If you were me at all, you know I would never resort to that. Are you two quite done here? I thought it was funny back when I was writing this, that she just kind of waltzes in and just watching Nizam bicker with himself. I don't know, I thought it was kind of funny. It feels weird commenting that I thought it was funny now, but anyway. Sub-Commander Kiana, it's about time you showed up. Captain 45! Oh, no, it's fine. And Fleet Admiral Charlie, what a predictable surprise. Your efforts are respectable, but the two of you honestly believe you were going to accomplish anything by coming here, finding this place? And by the way, if I remember correctly, at least if it hasn't changed, this sub-commander that you're looking at is actually Sub-Commander Kiana that was in Hidden Cameras mission in the New Romulus arc. So, that's the same character, apparently. Kiana, how did you know we were here? Your sensors in this area are all but functional. There's no way you could have detected us. Hacked and decrypted data logs, power fluctuations, and key indoctrination procedures, dozens of downed officers. You haven't exactly been subtle in your actions. And here you are, trying to take back what you thought was yours to begin with. Roll was wrong when keeping you alive. I should have killed you back at the Akamar system. Commander Roll, how is he involved? He's in Federation prison. He no longer has any power within the Tal Shiar. Now, I forget who Commander Roll was, but he's actually another character. I remember who he was now. So, I forget, oh boy, which mission was that actually? That was, I think it was in the Delta Quadrant missions? Maybe the Iconian War? Uneasy Allies. It was on Uneasy Allies, where you're paired with Sayla to uncover Taurus and what she's been doing with the Iconians. And on board Sayla's ship, may not have been Uneasy Allies now that I think about it, but one of them. there is a sub-commander Roll, or Zol, or Roll, yeah, on board, and he was actually a spy, I think, that was for the Romulan Republic, that was posing as a high-level Tal Shiar agent. I think that was who he was, at least. He's some character in Star Trek Online, but I don't remember who he was. Anyway, how amusing. You think that that any of that will dismantle the Tal Shiar's operations? We're bigger and stronger than you, Starfleet, the Romulan Council, or anyone else believes. The Romulan Star Empire will stand once more. Unfortunately for you, however, you won't be alive to see my people rise from the ashes. None of you will. Valar, Garen, show these fools a true allegiance. Bring honor to your people. No, I refuse, Sub-Commander. I and Garen both may be Romulan, and I agree that the Tal Shiar stand for, but I show allegiance... What? And I agree, but I show allegiance to you. I wrote that wrong. I wrote that wrong, apparently. I and Garen both may be Romulan, and I agree with what the Tal Shiar stand for, but that's supposed to say, but I do not show allegiance to you or the Star Empire. You alone are the fool here, Kiana. I am no murderer. Oh, Valar, dear sweet Valar, you showed so much promise, so much progress over the past 2 weeks. You're mistaken, Valar. You are really going to turn over everything you believe just because you looked in the mirror. You know, Kiana, you made a very sad flaw in making me. You kept most of my original instincts. Over the past few days, I've been sabotaging every system in the station I could get my hands on. That includes transporter controls, I might add. Enough of this. Roll's plan was flawed anyway. I have no remorse in killing you or your Cation friend anyway. Perhaps the next clones will be more competent. Compliant. Kill them all. We need additional backup down here. So once again, this is one of those instances where I couldn't start the fight when the dialogue ended, so we have to beam down for backup. And if anything that I've learned over the past 20 minutes of playing is that I'm going to need a whole lot of mines. So, Bukio, could you come over here for just a moment? Hey, could you place down some mines? Thanks, man. We're not going to have a repeat. At the ready, everyone. So, right over there is where Kiana and a bunch of her goons beam in. And there's Kiana right there. I'm going to shoot from orbit to get rid of her. And so, unfortunately, I couldn't have Kiana and any of her men beam away, necessarily. So it kind of looks like they died, even though supposedly they were supposed to have beamed away. So, you know, limitations of the Foundry and all. But anyway, Fleet Admiral, the clones, Garen and Valar, they're not here anymore. Where did they go? Valar said he'd gained control over the station's transporter systems. He must have gotten away during the firefight. Mahalo to the away team. Captain, we just detected 2 transport signatures beaming off the station. The USS Catnip 4 confirms it wasn't theirs. Yeah, water. So much talking. Okay, where did they transport to? It appears they beamed aboard one of the Tal Shiar ships that were docked around the station. Oh, no, wait, no, we did kill Kiana there. I'll explain that in a minute. The IRW Cestron 4. Whoever there, they seem to be the only 2 on that ship. Captain, they're powering engines and charging weapons, but they're not targeting us, they're targeting the station. Looks like Valar really meant what he said. He was no part of the Tal Shiar. If I know him, he's going to destroy the base. We need to go, now. Beam us up. Yes. And so this is during the firefight, might I add. Is when we found out it was kind of hidden by the camera once again, that Valar and Garen beamed out during the firefight. So we didn't actually see them do it. That's how they despawned. So we didn't actually see them leave, necessarily. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and beam out and move on to the next area. So, I'm not exactly sure what to explain other than everything I've done so far. Like I said, I forget who Roll was, but he was another important character. And the interesting thing we're going to learn about Kiana there in a moment of why we just killed her, we just killed an actual canon character in Star Trek Online, is you got to remember, she was part of a giant cloning facility. And so and the action already has started by the time we beam in. And thankfully, I'm pretty decent at not making the space battles too difficult. But we're going to just go ahead and kill everyone there. So we got the Itraku right over there, the one that attacked the Mahalo. And then we have the Livar over here. Thank you. I just hit level 60. Oh wait, no, that's level... What is that? Level 65. Oh no, yeah, cool. Anyway, Fleet Admiral, during the fight, the Cestron 4 was targeting the Tal Shiar base, the main core reactor. It just lost containment. There's nothing left of the facility but debris. Any survivors? By bringing smaller unarmed vessels in the facility, escape pods, looks like there was no one on the station when it blew. Once again, trying to make sure that the player didn't feel like a horrible murderer after all this. But anyway, that's good to hear. Fleet Admiral, the Mahalo is hailing us. Should I put them on screen? Good to see you're all right. Our paint got a bit scratched, so I'm told, but nothing Sagus in an EV suit can't fix. Just a few moments ago, we received a message from Valar and Garen. It seems things might not be turning out the way we once thought. He requested to meet on the bridge, both of us. He wants us to discuss a third option to his situation. On my way. So, I kind of missed it, unfortunately, but the station that we saw when we came to this map originally was right over here, and it just blew up the moment the fighting ended. Unfortunately, one of the things that you have to account for with the Foundry is you only have certain level of size of explosions. So I only had the size of explosions that were about the size of a normal ship, and you gotta remember this entire station was like the size of like the Enterprise J, so it was actually just a bunch of really tiny explosions when the thing blew up. It was kind of funny, to be honest, and I never really liked how it looked, but it was the best I could do. But that seems to be a common theme with me whenever I make Foundry missions, is the ground portions are always very difficult, where the space portions are always really not that difficult. I'm going to turn that off just because that's ugly as heck. Anyway, so everyone's all around here, and all the team's back, and so now we can go ahead and talk to Nizam and Saran and Garen over there. Or Gareth and Garen over there. Anyway, they're already conversing. So, you make an interesting point, but one Starfleet might consider. But right now, all things considered, I don't see that as an option. A part of me deep inside believes that you distrust me solely due to the fact that I was in presence of Tal Shiar for an extended period of time. Extended period? You've been with them for 2 weeks, which, by the way, consists of your whole life. I wouldn't call that merely an extended period. You were raised by the Tal Shiar, taught by them. They were the only things you know. I would like to believe that, but... Fleet Admiral, good to see you're here. I believe you might want to hear what Valar has proposed as a settlement to the situation. He says we should just let him go on his way. What I propose is not unreasonable. In fact, you of all people, Captain, should understand why my position on this. Starfleet and the Romulan Council believe I am some sort of threat, obviously, that I should be tied up and quarantined before I spill whatever information I have on the Tal Shiar, to the Tal Shiar. I do not disagree with you, Captain. I contain much knowledge, all that you know yourself. But that is going under the assumption that I am part of the Tal Shiar or the Romulan Empire, or the Romulan Star Empire. I give my devotion to neither of those political parties. You may believe that, but you said back on the station that you believed in what the Tal Shiar stand for. I stated that I believed their goal of bringing me freedom to my people. The Tal Shiar are incorrect that my people are oppressed, but it is not by Starfleet's hand nor the Council's. If anyone is oppressed, it is the Tal Shiar themselves. I fought alongside you only minutes ago, helping you defeat the people, the group you claim I am tied to. If I am really tied to Tal Shiar as you believe, why would I have done so? The Tal Shiar are a secretive group. You may believe that I am just trying to trick you somehow, that I am one of their agents, yet still. If you believe that, Captain, look at me. Look at me in the eyes, and tell me, and look at yourself that is within me, and you will see that is not the case. Volar, you may have convinced both me and Charlie here, But what about the Council? What about Starfleet? They'll have different opinions, I'm sure of it. I wouldn't be so sure of that. I'm not part of the Tal Shiar or any group that rivals Starfleet or Council. What rightful fear should you have of me? I may not be a part of... I may not be you, or a part of you, or whatever. The point is, I still hold the ideals you hold, with that being the knowledge I hold and will, to give it away, is as strong as yours. Oh, geez, my reading, it's getting late. Okay. I am as ready to give information to a rival faction as you would be. Not to mention my knowledge is freely given, if freely given to just anybody, could end up hurting my own people. As I have already made quite clear, I would never turn against my people, I assure you of that. I have your memories, your knowledge of how things work. You have connections in Starfleet, some you probably shouldn't even have. Your respected captain Starfleet will listen to you, and trust you to make a call on this alone. You're right, you are me. You may not look like me entirely, or have my spots, but that is what I would say in your position. That is how I would reason with someone. Even I know when I've been told oh boy, tongue twister. Okay. Even I know when I've been told myself something I don't want to hear, but know it's true. If I were to let you go, you and Garen, it's just the two of you. Alone? Where would you go from here? What would you become? You're just two people and a ship. I have a contact, someone I've been communicating with over the past week. I might have hacked the station's communications array while I was there, something I suppose you could say you taught me. He's part of the Romulan Republic, and he and his crew have been looking for a captain to serve under. I believe his name is Tovin Cave. It seems like a promising officer, and with connections, I'll be able to fit into the public quite easily. Once again, another little bit of a joke, just like, I don't remember her name, the annoying one in the Starfleet tutorial. We had Tovin Cave. And so I made a little reference to him, and we actually meet him in a future episode. But all I have to do is get the word and he'll be ready to meet me at the nearest system. Sounds like you've got the whole thing planned out. I guess you two were planning on escaping that station long before we came along. Indeed. So then, Captain Nizam, what is your decision on what I proposed? I believe you. I'd like you to stick around while we get things sorted out, but yes, I'll agree to your plan. I'm glad to hear that, Captain. Both I and when I join the Republic, my people, thank you for trusting me. Or trusting in yourself, I suppose. So then, is this where we part ways? Will we ever see you again? I'd like to think so, although only time will tell. Until then, safe travels. Well then, Fleet Admiral, it looks like we're done here. Thank you for your assistance in the mission. It was a pleasure working with you. We'll get to this in just a moment. I think... could have sworn that we could talk to Gareth and Garen over there, but anyway, like I said, this is pretty much the end of the mission. So this area was just to kind of tie things up, show that there's possibly a sequel, which there was actually a sequel. It's called Unearthed in Shadows, going to be coming up eventually, and get to see all the characters one last time. And so we're gonna go ahead and talk to Nizam here for a minute. How are you going to explain this to Starfleet? I already have, well, at least not the part of Valar yet, but about the Tal Shiar station. Neither Starfleet nor the Council apparently had any knowledge of this base beforehand. Admiral Chota says Starfleet will be sending a group of scientists to pick this place apart piece by piece later on. As concerns Valar and Garen, as he said, I'll be able to convince Starfleet that this was the right choice. Now that Kiana is gone, how do you think this will affect the Tal Shiar? I contacted Starfleet about that, and I got some rather unsettling information back. Apparently, some citizens in New Romulus reported to the Council that they spotted someone stalking around downtown areas that perfectly fitted the description of Kiana only hours ago. This station was centered around cloning after all. I'm not convinced that the Kiana we faced before was the real one. Do you think we'll ever be paired in a mission together? Perhaps, I mean, anything's possible. Anyway, I have no more questions. So, very well, I wish you safe journeys. Thank you for playing Darkness Under Veil. This was my first Foundry mission. It made its way to tell the story, and I made it as a way to tell the story I envisioned around these characters. I hope you've enjoyed. Feel free to leave a review or any thoughts you had if you liked. And once again, thank you for playing. I feel so like arrogant playing my own mission in some degree, but since the Foundry is going away, I want to keep these as a reminder and a log to all the amazing fun times I've had in Star Trek Online. You know, this story meant something to me because it was my own story. Never before in any other game had I been able to do something like this, and I think it's a shame that we're losing the Foundry because, like I said before, not only is it something that really Star Trek stood upon in itself, but also it's something that no other game out there really allows you to do in such a degree. The Foundry had its problems, and I completely understand and can support why it's closing, because it's just not something that can be maintained anymore. I mean, the fact that I had to sit through 20 minutes of just reloading a map because of a spawn point that I couldn't set in the editor says mounds alone, but it's still a devastating thing to have to witness, and it's going to be a part of me that will never grow back once it's gone. So yeah, anyway, that was Darkness Under Veil, everyone. My very first Foundry mission that I made years ago. I don't even remember when I made this, but this was the origin story essentially for Nizam and Gareth over there. And also Saran, and also Valar, and Karen, and the rest of the crew. And the story will continue on later when we get into Unearthed and Shadows, and we'll get to meet all these characters again, and more. But yeah, that was the start of it all. So, anyway, if you're actually still watching this video up to this point, dang, you really need to get a life. I don't know why you're watching my videos for 2 hours. Like, seriously, that's impressive. I am amazed that you have lasted this long. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. And thank you to Star Trek Online for making this, for making the Foundry, even if it's going away. Because this was an outlet that I got to use to make my own story, to make my own world, to make my own reality of Star Trek and an IP in a game that I love. So, thank you. And I will see you all in the next video.